What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is part of a series where I focus on Academy Award Best Picture nominees from a certain year. I've done such years in the past, such as the 1990s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s, and currently I am working my way through the 1980s. I've done 1980, 1981, and you clicked on this video, so you know it. This time around, I'm doing the 1982 Academy Award Best Picture nominees and ranking them from worst to best. So we'll be going from 5 being the worst to 1 being the best, of course, my humble opinion. And as always, keep in mind, my list is going to be differing from yours. And speaking of your list, I am looking forward to seeing your list down below of the ranking for the 1982 Best Picture nominees. But guys, enough exposition. Let's get started. So kick things off, number 5, we have Tootsie. This is a movie that I saw around 9 years ago, and I remember loving it. But then I rewatched it recently, and I thought it was very okay. It's a very safe movie. Again, it's very well acted. It's got good makeup. But this watch, I just kind of struggled with it, unfortunately. But it is also a movie that I understand the appeal. I understand why so many people love this movie. But for me, on rewatch, it just really didn't have much of an impact. And I can't really see myself rewatching this. If I want to watch a movie that's similar to this, I'll just watch Something Like It Hot. I own that on 4K. That's a masterpiece. For me, Tootsie, it's just an okay movie. And yeah, that's why it's my number 5. So now, that was my number 5. Next up, my number 4, we have Missing. So Missing, unfortunately, is a movie that is very hard to find. And I really don't know why, because this is a movie that stars Jack Lemmons, a very prolific actor, as well as Sissy Spacek. Like, this is one of those movies where everyone should watch. It is a rock-solid film. It is a very enlightening film. It's got a very interesting story. It's thrilling. It's also very dramatic when need be. And again, the performances are really, really top-notch. This is one of those films that I say it's rock solid, but at the same time, I could see a rewatch, making it go up in terms of my rating. But it's a rock solid film. I would definitely recommend watching this movie. Track it down. It is very much so worth your time. And yeah, that's why it's my number 4. Next up, my number 3, we have The Verdict. So this is a film that stars Paul Newman. It is a courtroom film. And this is a simple but very, very well executed film. I really liked the courtroom scenes. I really liked the performances. Love the cinematography. It's got a very worn down look to it that I think is very fitting given the tone of the film and just overall the story with what it's going for. So it's a very well made film. Again, it's one of those films though that it is simple, but it's all about the execution is what I like to argue, and the execution is really, really good. And yeah, this was one of those instances where my 1, 2, and 3, it was like a battle between what was going to be my number 1. And I will say The Verdict at one point was my number 1, but I kept thinking about it and I was like, you know what, I'll have it as my number 3. But very much so a film worth your time, and that's why it's my number 3. Next up, my number 2, this is a film that if you had asked me around 15 years ago, I would have said that it's a very boring film because that's the last time I saw it until I recently rewatched it. And my number 2, we have Gandhi. Gandhi is one of those films where you take out the first 5 minutes and you have a great film. The first 5 minutes, I think, does something where it reveals information that if you don't really know the story of Gandhi, it's kind of shooting the film in its foot, so to speak. I really don't like the first 5 minutes of Gandhi, but after the first 5 minutes, Gandhi is a exceptional film. The cinematography is incredible. The score is outstanding. The production design is very epic in scope. The costume design, the acting is fantastic. Ben Kingsley gives one of the best performances of the 1980s that I've seen. It's truly a monument. I also really, really think that this is one of those films that even though it is quite long, it's not a film that in terms of the pacing where it's like, wow, this is like a slog to get through. No, it's got a lot of interesting things. There's a attention to detail that I really appreciate. And it's just a film that, again, the scale is something that you don't see too often. And especially knowing that all this was in camera, it's very impressive. Also, bonus, this is a film that has a very brief cameo of Daniel Day-Lewis. This was, I believe, his first role. So that's also something nice to see. So yeah, Gandhi, I see why it won Best Picture. I really do. But there's a film that I like slightly more to it. And that's why Gandhi was my number 2. My number 1, you guys probably guessed it. My number 1 is E.T. My apologies. E.T. is another one of those films that's similar to Gandhi. I saw when I was younger, like a lot younger, over 15 years ago or so. And I remember thinking that E.T. was okay. But then I rewatched it. I decided to pick it up on 4K, and I rewatched it in 2020, and it got a lot better. In fact, to the point where I was like, this is a great film. One of Spielberg's best. I definitely see why it was a box office smash, as well as picked up some Oscar wins and, of course, a slew of nominations. Very well deserving. It's a really good film, and yeah, that's why it's my number one. But yeah, guys, I forgot to mention this before, but I mean, 1982, what a year for nominations. And keep in mind, 1982 was such a good year for films that films like The Thing, Blade Runner didn't even get nominated, which is kind of insane. I do wish, looking back, I do wish that they kind of replaced Blade Runner with Tootsie with Blade Runner. That would have been cool, seeing Blade Runner get a nomination. But as it stands, 1982, pretty good year for nominations. I am looking forward to seeing your guys' ranking for the 1982 Academy Award Best Picture nominees. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, I really do appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget the subscription, notification bell, follow me on Letterboxd, and I will catch you guys later.